You boys know what's about to happen to you. You leave now.
Some consider these traits to be toxic, such as undesirable in the men of today. We consider these traits such as these not only to be desirable, but to be appreciated and celebrated. Welcome to the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, hosted by and La Reina Creole. Welcome to the safe space for the toxic male.
Well, hello, everyone. And of course, welcome to my channel. Lorena Creole, and with me is a positive fandom. And this, of course, is the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, where, you know what, we take that toxic thing that Hollywood progressives like to use to make men feel bad about being men. And you know what? We reclaim that, we define that, and we just love those traditional masculine traits. Am I right, my dear?
Absolutely, Lorena. I couldn't have said it any better. I love doing the show, and I especially love who we are going to be talking about today.
Absolutely. I have seen this guy in so many things and love the things that he's been in. And it's just going to be such a great pleasure going through just well, not all of them because we only have 50 minutes, but most of the things that he's been in and just how popular he is. And of course, folks, we are talking about the amazing Simon Pegg. Oh, and my voice just really went on that one. Oh my gosh. Simon Pegg is one of those actors where I guess years ago I hadn't really heard of him before. And actually, I didn't really know of him until the J.J. Abrams Star Trek reboot, so to speak. His take on Scotty had me in stitches. It's in absolute stitches. And after that, I was just like, I have to find out what else this dude is in. And it kind of started from there.
Yeah, this man is amazing, and to be honest with you, Lorena, I really love his work. It is British for the most part, a lot of British comedy and humor, and a lot of it is paired with another, let's say, director, producer, writer, whatever you want to call Edgar Wright, another British talented professional that he works with a lot. Their collaborations, of which there have been many, really they just work so well together. And I think that they probably, when they first met, like, it must have been like an explosion, because they were like, oh yeah, let's do this, oh yeah, let's do this, okay, let's do this. And it just must have just the train must have just kept rolling on as they came up with all these fantastic movies and shows and everything under this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing the type of things that he's been in. And let's see, John Weir Jr. is in the chat. Hello, says hello, ladies. Well, hello to you. Glad you are here with us. Little bit of background on Simon Pegg, English actor, of course, writer and comedian. Definitely, because this dude's got so well. First, in general, not the stereotype, but it's not a stereotype when it's true. The Brits are masters at just witty comedy. And even when I was a kid, I would watch like Monty Python and stuff on PBS, and it's just freaking amazing. So that's why I love Brit coms. Brits have it on lock when it comes to comedy. I would say Americans second, but Brits definitely. There's a reason why Brit coms are so beloved in America. So let's see. He was born Simon John Beckingham in Brockworth, Gloucestershire, which I do not know exactly where that is. So, folks, you're going to have to tell me in the chat. If I'm looking at a map of England and I see Manchester to the north and London to the south, which is two towns in Britain that I've been in, where's Gloucestershire? You guys can let me know where that is. So let's see. Gillian Rosemary, his mother, John Henry Beckingham, a jazz musician. So after his parents' divorce, he took his stepfather's surname, Pegg. And he was educated at Brockworth Comprehensive Secondary School in Gloucestershire and went to Stratford upon Avon College to study English literature and performance studies. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that Stratford upon Avon is where Shakespeare was born and where the famous Globe Theater, I think, is.
I don't know, but I believe you.
I'm gonna find it out now. Let's see.
Yes.
So we love these tidbits here. Yeah, Stratford upon Avon is the town where William Shakespeare is born and buried. So yeah. All right. Yeah, I got that right. Yes. Stratford upon Avon. Let's see. University of Bristol, bachelor's degree in drama, moved to London, successful career in stand-up comedy. No surprise with that. And let's see. Six Pairs of Pants I don't know about. Asylum I haven't seen. I know Where You Live I haven't seen. But I do know the movie, besides the J.J. Abrams reboot, that got him on my radar was Shaun of the Dead.
Yes. Yeah. And certainly at that time, it's not that it seemed like there was a zombie renaissance. You had The Walking Dead, which was out and probably at its peak on AMC, maybe in its second or third season. And you just couldn't get away from commercials with zombies in them. I think there was even a bank commercial where a zombie was going in to get a loan, and but my favorite commercial was the one where this woman, she's at home, and a zombie outbreak happens. She's got to figure out what to do, and she's like, well, thank God I have my Toyota or whatever, to get me through anything, and it's of course, just and then she gets home and she's like, and they're like, don't forget, there's a zombie outbreak could affect your commute, or something like, but certainly that movie, Shaun of the Dead, really played to all of his strengths. And I just loved how he, just could laugh at himself. There's, of course, the pub is involved, Lorena.
Of course.
It's like, where are we going to go to be safe? The pub, So you go to the pub and the zombies are breaking through the glass. And it's just like the whole thing is just absolutely fantastically funny. Yeah, he's so talented. And his one of his co-stars, who we can actually see in the picture holding that man with the green shirt on, he's been in quite a few of his films as well. Also another very talented co-star.
That's his friend Nick Frost, I believe.
Yeah, he's an incredible actor, and they have excellent chemistry. And certainly he plays this character that I just love it. At a time when we used to have electronic salesmen, because I don't know if we still have them anymore. This idea about the zombie apocalypse, but it's not going to disrupt his day. And he has these characters where, the world may be ending, but I'm going to mail this letter,
Yes.
The everything's going bad, but, dinner's going to be on the table at 6.
Yeah.
And I just love it.
This film, it truly is a cult classic. And I was watching this and just cracking up. It is so much fun. And I'm gonna say, don't be surprised if we wind up doing a watch party for this darn movie, because it is spooky season is coming for real.
Yeah.
Hello, Walter Goodman. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. We are talking Simon Pegg. And we are actually going to flip over here to the 10 best Simon Pegg movies ranked. So I'm hoping between and myself that we've pretty much seen most of these, because this is the first time she or I have seen this list. So you guys in the chat are gonna have to help us out. If there's one that we haven't seen, we'll just abstain from that one, or talk about it anyway, because we're looking at Simon Pegg here. So let's see. The first one we have is Chronicles of Narnia: Voyage of the Dawn Treader. I have not seen this film. Have you?
I have not. Does he play the lion or one of the other characters like that?
He is. Oh, this is funny. He joined the vocal cast as the mouse swordsman Reepicheep, who comes to the aid of the comically oafish, pensive cousin Eustace Scrub, a mouse with a sword.
Aw, it sounds adorable. I think I've seen a few of the Narnia ones, but I haven't seen this one. I do like Ben Barnes, who I think is the guy who plays the main character. He's hot. He's hot. So I watch a lot of Ben Barnes. I believe that's who that is. But yeah, I didn't know that he was in this. How about you?
I haven't seen the movies at all. And I think I'm the kind of person where The Chronicles of Narnia was one of my favorite books series to read, especially The Lion, The Witch and the Wardrobe. I read that one like over and over and over. So I have not seen the films yet. I'm kind of like, I don't know. Although the CGI for Aslan looks gorgeous. It looks absolutely gorgeous. And I'm just thinking in my head of Simon Pegg voicing a mouse as a mouse swordsman. That just seems funny, and Simon Pegg's voice and how he is with his comic delivery.
Well, I'm sure it's fantastic, because he never gives a bad performance. So I'm sure it's amazing, and I can't wait to see what that character is like. And the Narnia films, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lorena, they came out quite a while ago, maybe in the early 2000s, the first one, right, Lorena? So it certainly might be worth a rewatch to see how the series has gone on. I know that at least I believe Ben Barnes has been in all of them, but he along with the lion, because they were in Narnia, are still in it, but the children grow up, and then of course they can't be there anymore, which is kind of sad. But it's worth a rewatch. I'd like to see it again, away from all the hubbub around Lord of the Rings, because I think it came out around the same time, and Lord of the Rings.
I think you're right.
A lot of the attention. I'm not saying that there wasn't enough room for both, but a lot of attention went to Lord of the Rings at the time. And Narnia, is a children's story. It's a children's fantasy, and I think kind of looking at it with a pair of fresh eyes 20 years later almost from the first one would be certainly worth a watch.
Right. I agree with you. So I'm gonna have to check that one out. This one is another one I really haven't seen. Wait a minute, Simon Pegg was in The Force Awakens?
Yes.
Did I fall asleep and miss that? It's been so long since I've seen The Force Awakens.
Well, yeah. What was I going to say? I have not seen this film, but I love Andy Serkis. Like, I love that man. And this reminds me of the classics, like, Waiting for Godot, sort of like two characters, and they're the main, whatever mischief they're getting up to or not getting up to in the story. A lot of it is about them. And you can just tell by the look on their faces.
They're something nefarious.
Yes. So I haven't seen this, but I've got to take a watch. I have to look at this. It seems unbelievable. To sell corpses to anatomy labs. Wow. That is bold.
Hey, Steve, how you doing? Says, hello, the Reina and company. Hope you are well. I hope you're good too, Steve. Good seeing you. This sounds funny that
It
they're
does.
like, they're like getting corpses to sell, sell to anatomy labs, and I can totally see that happening, especially during this, during this time period. So that I haven't heard of this, but apparently John Landis directed this one.
Wow.
So I hadn't heard of that, and I do like John Landis as a director. So again, this is a dark comedy. The fact that Andy Serkis and Simon Pegg is in this one, and we're gonna have to do one on Andy Serkis because I just saw, uh, was it Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, the
Yeah.
second one.
Yes.
His performance as Caesar, oh my gosh, I uh, awesome. But anyway, I love
Got a
Andy
lot to say
Serkis.
about Andy Serkis, Lorena.
Yes, I do. I have a lot to say about him. And Adventures of Tintin. Now, I haven't seen this, but I knew of this character for quite some time. Have you seen this film?
No, I haven't. Boy, we're 0 for 3, Lorraine. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not batting 1,000 here. We're not batting 1,000 here, but that's okay. That's okay. Now, here's one I have not seen, and I'm kicking myself
You
because
haven't
I
seen
have not.
World War One?
Everyone keeps telling me that I should say it. I
Yes,
have
Ready
no
Player
idea.
One.
I know, right? I do. I had zero. The only reason that I had gotten interested again in Ready Player One is because when I finally saw The Shining,
Yeah.
because I had never seen The Shining, although I'd heard about it. So I finally went and saw it, and they're like, "Yeah, Ready Player One has a lot of Shining references that are um that are in it." So,
Yeah. It's to be honest with you, it reminds me of so it's about a game that everybody plays, all the entire world plays, and everybody wants to be the number one player. So what it really reminds me of, however, is what YouTube has kind of become, because
mhm,
there's this it so heavily rests on 80s nostalgia, maybe not just 80s, but on nostalgia in
mhm,
general. And I think a lot of YouTube is that way.
mhm,
Where it's YouTube is not 100% news reports where we're giving breaking news all the time. A lot of it is, hey, do you remember this? Hey, did you ever see this? A lot of it is kind of throwback kind of stuff. So um,
mhm.
I think it's although it was made in 2018, which is wow, 7 years ago or so. I think something that's really important about it is that I feel like the game that they're talking about and the story is actually what YouTube has become. But I have a lot of theories about what YouTube has become, this notion of what YouTube has become. But you will love this film, Lorraine. You're going to love it. You will love it.
Oh, that's another one. That's another one for the list, and it looks like he for some reason he reminds me of the Wiz, or like that character that you run into in the in the game or in the story, who has all of this wealth of knowledge that he's either trying to give you or keep from you.
The butler, the your guide. I am your mission support person. I am that person on the other line. Don't forget before you go to take your such and such. Oh, thank you so much. You can access it at the main whatever. Thank you. I will press that button now during a tutorial or whatever. I understand what you mean. You will love this game. And I think one of the things that I loved about it was the living conditions of I'll say
Mm.
the cast in it. So I'm really curious to get your opinion about it when you do see it.
Okay, that's another one. Another one on the pile. Another one on the pile. I haven't seen this movie, but just looking at this snapshot here, fake looking alien and Simon Pegg just looking like, what the heck is going on? So apparently, Pegg and Frost, his other friend, which we saw in Shaun of the Dead, co-starred in this 2010 comedy about best friends on a road trip to Area 51 and they encounter the real alien Paul, voiced by Seth Rogen. I don't really like Seth Rogen that much, but just I think I can deal with him in this. But yeah, apparently by the same person who directed Superbad. I liked Superbad.
And certainly he has this I think he likes to look at pop culture phenomenon and have a laugh at it, right? You know, certainly people are still making, even after Oppenheimer, people are still making stories about Los Alamos and New Mexico, Area 51 aliens.
Hmm.
That hasn't gone away. That was popular in the 50s like crazy. It certainly is still popular now. We're still getting alien stories. We recently had somebody talk about how there are aliens and you know, like whatever committee it was, they were like, what exactly are you saying and why should we believe you? You know, and the guys get up there in the street like, because I've seen them. You know, like we're still fascinated by this. Would it not be the coolest thing to run into one of these aliens? And he does.
Ah, it's just again one of my favorite television shows, The X Files. How many times are we talking about Area 51? You know, in that, I think that was the first time I'd heard of Area 51. So yeah, it's just like, is it real? Is it not real? You know, that's where they keep the aliens, right? Oh, but this is one I have not heard of and may have to check it. May have to check it out. May have to check that one out. Have you seen this one?
I haven't seen it, but it looks amazing. I'm just looking at that graphic. Of course, the alien would be like, come on, we've been here for 70 years now. You
You
know,
just
like,
figuring out, you know, that we're here, you know. Or probably like I'm thinking of like the Men in Black aliens, you know, just smoking like, you know, really just we didn't want to be on this rock, but dang it, I got enemies, so I guess I'm stuck here with y'all.
mhm. Exactly. I mean, it is very interesting. And, you know, I haven't actually been to that area. I think it's in Nevada um, where that is. But that whole area, like out there where there may or may not be sightings, you know,
Hmm.
of aliens and that whole mysticism. The someone made a comment about one of the sightings. Of course, I'm sure you've heard of it. That there was a test, and when they say test, I'm assuming they meant nuclear, and that damaged. I know. I'm sorry about this. I'm really, Lorena.
Mm.
I'm really sorry about this.
Oh, it's okay. We go through rabbit holes on this show.
Somebody said that
It's what we
there
do.
was a nuclear test, and it damaged an alien ship. And it crash landed maybe somewhere between New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, and Arizona somewhere. And that's
Hmm.
why Area 51 may or may not. You know, this is just the lore. And of course, I love it all. So, yeah. Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, let's see. The next one, of course, we are all extremely, both of us, extremely familiar with, and that would be the Star Trek trilogy, also known as the J.J. Abrams reboot, also known as the Kelvin timeline, which I had no idea what that was until I asked somebody. Um, but I'm telling you, Simon Pegg, there was something about this film between Chris Pine, Carl Urban, and Simon Pegg
Hmm.
as, you know, as the I call them the Trinity with a lower T, you know, James T. Kirk, you had Bones, and of course Simon Pegg is Scott. Just like inner workings into just how his mind works as Scotty. And it's like he was different, but at the core, still, you know, still Scotty.
Yeah. And if I remember this correctly, there was a '09 film that starred another actor who was, I guess, playing Scotty. And he unfortunately passed away. And you know who it is. He was this young kid. Uh, I can't remember if his name is something Chelchen or what was his
Yes, yes, I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah.
name? And he played, you know, let's say the Scotty role. I believe that was the case in the '09 thing. And he tragically was killed. And, you know, of course, Simon Pegg came in and took over the role more or less, at least from what I understand. And I think he did a flawless job. I think he certainly did add a different element to it. I hope I'm saying the right thing. It's something Yushan Chelchin or but it was a very sad situation. How do you replace somebody when you just started an entirely new, reboot of a franchise? And
Hmm.
where do you go from there? His name was, what was his name? Something like Anton. Um,
Anton Yelchin.
yes, that's right. And he
Okay.
played. Oh, I'm sorry. He played Chekhov. I'm talking about the wrong person. I'm
Oh,
sorry. I
that's
apologize.
all right.
But okay, okay. Yeah. For some reason I thought he played Scotty first, but he played Chekhov. That's right. All right. Never mind.
Oh, and I apologize about the Trinity. I forgot. I I'm embarrassed. I forgot to put the guy who plays Spock in that too. Zachary was it Zachary
Zachary
Quinto?
Quinto.
Zachary Quinto. Yeah.
Yeah, he was good too. And the casting was fantastic. Urban was the one that really got me. He shook me.
He was dead honest. Like they were good, but you saw him, and as soon as he started talking, you knew that it was Bones. I mean, not just like what they like with the accent, like with Peg. Of course, he had the Scottish accent with Scotty, but yeah, he was awesome with that. And with just when you first introduced to him, seeing how his mind works, it was just hilarious, done with great comedic timing, because, and it is very true, engineers have a very, very twisted and interesting sense of humor.
Yes, they
S-
do.
and I think the scene where he's just like, I forget who it was, it says, yeah, you figure it out. He's like, what are you talking about? It's like, stuck on this problem. He's like, yeah, what if what if time was a fluid or something like that? And he's like, huh, I figured it out, huh? Okay. I hadn't thought about that. It was just really strange moment where you're just laughing because you're like, that's just something that Scotty would say. But
And
I loved seeing him in this.
did he have a little character with him too? Like a little, there was a little character that was with him in the movie. Do you remember?
I don't. It's been ages since I've seen it.
Yeah, I think there was like a little. I have to look it up, but he had a little companion um, in this story with him, and it was funny. Like he was like a little companion that would was with him, and I don't even know. I don't remember all the details, but it was very unusual that he had a companion with him.
Hmm.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I think I'm correct. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah. So yeah, he was great as this character, and certainly you need somebody with that with a certain personality to play it. And they picked somebody who's British
Mm-hmm.
from the British Isles, so that also is kind of cool to pick somebody from there. But he was good in this role. He was very good in it.
Yeah, he was extremely good in this one. I loved it. And then there's this one, the
Yeah.
Mission Impossible franchise. Now, I tell people when I saw the first Mission Impossible, the reboot of Mission Impossible, I was kind of pissed off because of what they did to Mr. Phelps. I didn't like that, so I didn't see it for like the longest time. Then to prepare for Ghost Protocol, not Ghost Protocol, excuse me, Dead Reckoning Part One, I binged all of the Mission Impossible movies. And Simon Pegg, him starting out as like, I'm just, basically, I'm just the IT guy. You know how much trouble I could get into for doing X, Y, and Z. And he's like, yeah, one day I'll be in the field, and you see him, he actually gets to be a field agent. And as things progress, um yeah, I love him in the Mission Impossible movies. He is, and again, that quote unquote toxic masculine trait of, you know, especially of protection. He's very protective of his teammates, and he'll pretty much do anything for them. anything, any crazy thing. Well, then of course send Ethan out to do crazy things like scale the outside of a skyscraper in Dubai to get to the server room because he's
I
like, I
love that.
can't do it. I need to be right here. He's like, wasn't so bad, was it?
I think that he, and it is true, he starts off sort of like as this IT person, but he really ends up being sort of like an IT engineer, if you will. I guess he and Vin Rames, and it's, being the engineer of all this stuff is a little bit more than just going in and sort of like doing code every once in a while. It's like
Mm-hmm.
now you're responsible for gear. Now you're responsible for whole networks. Now you're responsible for satellites. Now you're responsible for power sources. It goes on and on and on and on. And we actually do see a lot of that. Like there's one movie where there unfortunately is a bomb, and they have to worry about like, well, how are we going to detect the bomb? And that's part of it, like trying to figure out what the energy source for the bomb would be and how we can detect it. And a lot of that has to do with it. But I also kind of like the notion of IT as well. You guys do want to have water on later, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you want your plumbing to work, right? You want your Wi-Fi to work, right? It's like there's so much more to it that I kind of like about that. And I think we saw an example of that more in one of the Die Hard movies, but he certainly has grown a lot in this character. I think in Mission Impossible, and it's because he's so darn likable on the screen. Like he looks good, he knows what he's doing, and it's a likable character. And I think he has a lot of potential going forward. I don't know how many more Mission Impossibles there are going to be, but he really has enriched the films a lot.
He has, and I think there's one more that's left. That they have going on, but he is. I mean, poor Benji. He's had a bomb strapped to. He's just been, but you know what? He's there. He's there from his friends. Even telling Ethan, "Yeah, you got to go this way." And there's just like, I think it's like you see where he's up over the precipice. He's on the bike, and you see he's like the train going by, and it's like, "Are you sure this is right?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah, it's not a problem, is it?"
You may have to jump off a cliff, but it's going to be fine.
It's gonna be fine, really. It's good. Yeah, it's gonna be fine. It'll be fine. He's a great character in this. I can't wait to see what he does in part two. Just a great character. He cares about his friends. His character again is not above showing when he's concerned, when he's fearful, when he's ready to cut somebody because his friends are threatened. So great performance. I wish I'd jumped into this franchise a little bit earlier, but y'all pissed me off with what you did to Mr. Phelps. Daggone it.
I wasn't happy
No.
with it with Mr. Phelps either. And it wasn't until I guess the second one with Dandy Newton I was watching it. And I kind of became very fascinated by the second one because there's this scene where Tom Cruise and Dandy Newton are driving on the highway and you can see the wind blowing their hair up. And I thought to myself, I got to do that. So I never in a million years did I ever think that I'd like a scene where I see Tom Cruise's hair flowing in the wind, but there it was. You know how many times I've rewound that spot, Lorena? Oh my gosh.
Oh, how many times?
It's so many. Oh, it's so much fun to see these little nuances that I was not expecting to see. Would you expect to see that in Mission Impossible? No, you're expecting to see do, and everything kind of go, but not the, hey, that was very, I think they did that for me, Lorena. They did that for me.
I just know that there's this, I forget if it was it, I think it was Ghost Protocol, where Paula Patton, or they're in India and Paula Patton's just walking around looking, and Ethan's just like, you look spectacular. Just like, yeah, I did watch me work.
She looked wonderful in this too.
Just walking through there. Oh gosh, it was great. It was great. That scene freaking stuck with me. I'm like, yeah, that's how you enter a room and you enter a party. That's what you do.
Yes.
That's what you do. And here's another one. Hot fun. Oh my gosh.
If the world's going to end, we are going to still do our job no matter what. We are going to be police officers, and we were going to do things by the book. And it had a very similar feel to Shaun of the Dead. I think that this character goes on with his life, and like I said, if everything's over, it does not matter. He's going to get up. He's going to put his uniform on. He's going to report to work. I just love it. Certainly, the notion of wanting to be the top cop, if you will, and his adorableness in it, with a bunch of other police officers who are absolute characters. Every stereotype in the police officer book you can find. And once again, he teams up with his friend. It's unbelievably fun and cute, and crimes are being committed, and he's focused on one thing. He takes his walk to work, or that walk down the neighborhood walk down the sidewalk, which I kind of love. We see in Hot Fuzz and in Shaun of the Dead, and he's just focused on his mission. And it is just really very cleverly filmed, very cleverly done. Imagine having to do that role and walking and concentrating, and they're filming you, but you're in motion. It's not easy to pull that off and make it look just like an ordinary day walking down the sidewalk. Not the easiest thing to do, but he seems to be able to do it time and time again. I believe this character exists somewhere. I believe this character in Hot Fuzz exists, and I believe the character in Shaun of the Dead exists somewhere.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Especially in, like, I call them, like, these quaint little English villages, so to speak, where it doesn't look like a whole lot, really goes on. The setting is much different from America, but you can still see a lot of the same elements, that are in it, especially when you're talking about, the cop stereotypes and everything that's in it. It is so funny, again, with that Britcom type of humor that's going on. And you're right, it's like he takes his job very seriously, protecting, his neighborhood, protecting, his beat. But man, it's so funny. It's just one of those things you just have to sit and you just have to watch it, and it's just absolutely hilarious. I think man, I'm trying to think of I have to find the poster for that, because it is, when you see it, you'll know exactly which movie that they based us on. So if you look at it, automatically you're thinking about Bad Boys.
Yes. I just love the diving shots, like, it's those things that I think that they took the time to do, because they knew we would be looking at this and that we had to see certain elements.
I know them days.
It's funny, like almost 20 years later, certainly. It's so good. The poster is so good. That fence part is so good. I love it.
Just, grandma with the shotgun. I mean, it was just so funny. And again, seeing where its popularity, it's again still one of those films that you'll just continue to watch, because there's just so much great, I won't say great writing, good writing, but for the most part, the actors carrying that movie, and you're just like, okay, we know that shot was cheesy, but we really don't care, because we love the characters so much, and how they're being portrayed. Because speaking of that, again, Shaun of the Dead.
Yes. And in Shaun of the Dead, he, plays an ordinary guy who wakes up in the morning, gets dressed. His friend lives with him. I don't think his friend works. Or maybe he's his roommate, and they moved in together, and maybe his friend is kind of taking advantage, or is living off his savings, or whatever it is. But he's very close to him, and of course Shaun goes out to work, and he goes to the corner store, buys coffee, just like everybody else, like you normally would. And of course, when the zombie outbreak happens, his life nothing is any different. He gets dressed in the morning. He goes to buy coffee. There's zombie attacks going on around him. He just goes into the corner store, gets his coffee or crisps or whatever it is. I just love it. And I think that just to have a laugh at it, of this sort of the zombie renaissance, which is what I call that era. I kind of miss it. I wish we had something like that right now. Was just so much fun to kind of enjoy and just look at the notion of zombies. I mean, even the CDC, I think it was the CDC, had they made a comic book of how to survive a zombie outbreak. Yeah. Even the CDC did that. So it's something to think about. And I still was very impressed that they did that. They were trying to show, I read it. I read this comic book. And they were like, it starts off where, well, you know, if there's a zombie outbreak, and I'm like, well, this is a little too obvious, but that's okay. But they took the time to do it. And I think that if any kind of movement or pop culture event sparks imagination of creators to do anything at all, it's fun. Why not enjoy it? And he did such a great job with it. I'm assuming it's the same cast who were in Shaun of the Dead, also probably in Hot Fuzz.
Yes.
Certainly a wonderful thing. And the three films, Hot Fuzz, Shaun, I think it's Shaun of the Dead, then Hot Fuzz, and then The World's End, I kind of look like as a trio, but The World's End has a very different feel to it, Lorena. It has a different kind of vibe, because in this one, they were, I think it was kind of like Who You Want to Be With at the End of the World. There was a movie like that, you know, or Friends in LA. It's the end of the world. What are we going to do? You know, we got 30 days left. What do you do for the end of the world? And here it says, his character, Gary, is a character so rooted in nostalgia that he can't move forward. It's kind of like, and I think that it does have a very different feel. No one wants to think about the end of the world. And why should you? So, you you already have the information, but what do you do? It kind of reminded me of that movie, as I said before, you know, Who You Want to Be With at the End of the World, or Your Companion for the End of the World. And certainly it is very different way of looking at it. It doesn't have the same feel as Shaun of the Dead, nor does it have the same feel as Hot Fuzz, but certainly it was a very interesting watch.
That is interesting. And it looks like they're saying a premise similar to Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yes, and certainly it, here you can actually see my other favorite actor, Martin Freeman, who I think is all the way on the left, is in it as well. I think, yes, it does have that premise. You would like it, but like I said, it has a very different tone. I don't really consider it necessarily a comedy. I would say it may be more of a parody of those movies, sort of like Foreign Invasion, Secret Invasion, or even, as I said before, Who Would You Want to Be With at the End of the World?
Right.
The End of the World. I think there were about 4 or 5 films that came out maybe around that time, and this was, of course, as far as I'm considering it, a parody of that. So certainly it was enjoyable as well.
Okay, cool. Well, I had not heard of that movie. So that is definitely one that I'm going to have to check out. Something else that he's been in, and I'm actually going to show this in a little bit before we go to one last thing, which just proves how much of a talent that Simon Pegg is. Apparently, he was in The Boys.
I'm trying to remember what character he played. Hughes. Yes, he is in The Boys. He plays Hugh's dad. So Hugh is the guy who's going out with Starlight, that girl right there.
Oh,
the guy who's going out with her. And his dad he plays Hugh's dad in the story. And, Hugh is quite an interesting character. He started off as someone who had all the hope in the world, and then he watches his girlfriend get killed in front of him.
That's Hugh. Okay. Yeah.
Huey. Is it
Yeah, Huey?
And, he ends up with Starlight, who's, like that totally makes sense. But his dad is played by Simon Pegg. That's right. I forgot. Yeah, he's good in it. He's good in the show. And his dad was a huge fan of, like you go into Huey's room, and his dad had different things that Huey used to like about The Boys, and of the main character played by Anthony Starr, who who I absolutely love in the story. But it is very interesting that he plays the father of the boy, and he's nice. He's a nice man in it. I like his role in there.
Oh my gosh, I may actually start watching it
Have
again.
you don't watch The Boys?
I watched it for a little while and I was like, I don't know if this is really for me. And I kind of put like I put a pin in it, and then I saw I want to say a quote unquote commercial, and Soldier Boy was in it, and I was on the floor. I was cracking up when I saw that.
It's extreme. I mean, it's kind of like, for me, it's the next comic book as extreme as the Watchmen was, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
stories for me. So I feel like there was the Watchmen, and then there's the Boys 20
Mm-hmm.
years later or so, maybe not exactly 20 years later, but 10 or 15 years later. And I really think that this one is kind of edgier, and certainly we're not devoid of edgy comic books now. Like, they're everywhere, but
Mm-hmm.
this is the best adaptation I've ever seen, and I kind of regret not getting the comic books, because they had some really cool releases of the comic books over the past few years, and I didn't even look at them, and I'm like, darn, I should have gotten that. You could get the comic books, and the likenesses are of the stars in the story, so that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he certainly is very good in this. It's a dramatic role; it's not comedy, so he plays a very serious role in this one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Cool. Well, I may have to pick up watching The Boys again after all the other all the other stuff I got watched. I did like what I did see, even though some was like, that's a little bit much.
It's
I'll
a little.
come back. I'll come back and finish watching it. But yeah, some of the stuff I watched in it, I was like, oh my God, did they really just do that? Did they really just do That's funny. It was funny. Well, the last thing we're going to look at with regards to Simon Pegg, and I know this is one that Hurton and I definitely, definitely are so enthralled with.
Uh,
And this, of course, is Simon Pegg as the headmaster in the game Hogwarts Legacy, Phineas Nigellus Black.
And he, of course, is the headmaster of the school at this time period. And I don't remember, it's 18 something.
He had like 18 I want to say like I think is it 1880? Something
Mhm.
like that. Mhm.
And this is a headmaster who doesn't want anybody to play Quidditch for some odd
I
reason.
know.
And he has an attitude, and each one of these headmasters definitely has a unique personality. But certainly, it's kind of a mystery, because as you're playing the game, you're like, why isn't the headmaster supporting Quidditch? Is it like some kind of conspiracy? And and a lot of players are like, well, I thought I was going to be playing Quidditch, and I was going to use that for my entrance to, like, people. You can just hear the people that, like, I need this for my entrance into such and such a Quidditch academy, or
Mhm.
to become a professional Quidditch player or whatever. And they couldn't do it. And I thought to myself, maybe there are some off-campus leagues they can play in. Like, isn't that what you typically would do before
Some
you play?
underground, bootleg Quidditch.
I'm like, maybe there's some leagues, but they might not be open to minors, because most of these kids are under 18 years
Yeah.
old. So maybe they couldn't play, or they'd have to lie about their age, and they get in. And then I think at the end, right, Lorena, does it get reinstated? I can't remember what happened, but I thought that was going to be a DLC added to it for some reason. And
Yeah, for some reason I'd heard rumblings that it would be, because it's just like, okay, I can understand if you didn't want to do Quidditch half-ass. That would not go right, because Quidditch is, again, it is as much an institution as Hogwarts. So it needs to be done correctly. We've seen all the movies, so we know how the game is played. Then again, I'm just remembering a line that I think Ron said, no one's died. No, it was the Weasley twins, I think, that said, but
yeah,
nobody's died in years. And that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, was there some kind of accident they're covering up, and that's why Headmaster Black is so, well, Slytherins, they all, yeah, we think they're Slytherin, and there's everybody else. That's pretty much our whole entire attitude when it comes to Slytherin.
but I don't remember, why did he say he didn't want them to play? What was the reason? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I haven't picked up the game in like 3 months because I got distracted. But I think the last thing that it was either a letter or something that I read about, too bad, basically with a heavy heart, I'm going to have to cancel Quidditch. And that was about as far as I got. So there was something behind the reason that Quidditch got canceled,
Hmm. Yeah,
and it did
there
seem like
was
it was something good.
something. It says, I'm looking at this cancellation of the sport wasn't well received, but a secret detail in Legacy reveals a dark motive behind the headmaster's decision. And it turns out that, what does it say? The absence of the, okay, no, tell me what it is. Oh, it was that letter. There was a letter. And it
Hmm.
says it was indeed canceled due to an accident on the field, but a note found in the hospital wing paints the so-called injury as a mere scapegoat for a much darker motive. Yeah, oh, interesting. She makes note of the fact that Headmaster Black was more concerned over their pure blood status, implying that that was the main factor. Oh, that's awful. I can't believe it. I'm sorry.
No, but that is a pure. Here we're gonna go off on the riff a little bit. That is like the I'll say to call it. Yeah, that's the stigma about Slytherin. The whole like pure blood, uh preference, I would say, is what they, and of course that came like down from Salazar Slytherin. So
Oh my goodness. Well, I also think maybe they planned on having it in the game and they couldn't support it in the end and they didn't want to do a late release. So, and I think that that's fine, but
oh, I agree.
I think would have been nice if they had that and then they released the Quidditch game for Christmas or something like that.
Or to give us something,
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, I get why they didn't include it. The game has such amazing detail in it. Simon Pegg, it's such a departure in a way because he's a stand-up comedian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Phineas Black is super, super, super straight laced. When you first arrive and and you're late, and he makes it a big deal that you've missed the sorting ceremony, just like this freaking dude. He's very about his business. He doesn't he's not as warm and fuzzy as headmaster, not headmaster, but I'm gonna call her headmistress, like
Dumbledore?
step below Weasley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And certainly, you know, from what I had heard, it was going to be released, but let's see what they actually do. The fact that the game was released and made broke records and was so popular is a testament not just to the playability of the game, but also to these roles and the characters and the story that made it so incredible, right, Lorena?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But I loved him in this. When I heard he was going to be the headmaster, I was just like, this is just great. And if you've read the books, you do know Phineas Nigellus Black was involved in some really messed up ish. Very much so. So yeah, cool having him play that character. I just like running into Headmaster, running into Headmaster Black, and just him giving you that disapproving look.
He does give a disapproving look. He also gives the other, teachers disapproving looks. Like
Yes. Like,
he
how do you
is,
put up with this dude?
yeah, he's not kind. I think he's there and doing the job, but I almost wonder whether he thinks the job is beneath him.
Hmm. Yeah, I would agree, especially given, because I don't know, you've read the books, right? Right?
I've not read the
Have you read
books.
it? Okay, because I'm reading. Okay, well, it's being read to me because I don't have time to sit down, so
Oh,
I
you
have it
have
on
the
Audible.
audiobooks. Are they good?
Yeah, I have. They're so good. Oh my gosh,
Good then.
they're amazing,
Okay,
and I'm
I'll
listening
the
to
audiobooks.
my favorite. Is it my favorite one? Um, Is it the I think it's the Deathly Hallows, which I'm no, not the Deathly Hallows. The Half Blood Prince. That's my favorite one. And where they're trying to find, the Horcruxes and all of that. Let's just say Phineas Nigel is black. He can, of course, he can appear from, photo to, portrait to portrait. He can go from Hogwarts to, oh my gosh, I am blanking out on the house number of Sirius Black's house. So he can travel, that way. But yeah, he's wrapped up in some of that nonsense with Voldemort and everything. So there's something very nefarious. It seems like for him, Headmaster is the perfect cover for
Oh,
what he's got going on. Kind of like how with Snape, because the joke was, and it was true, why is it the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher only lasts 1 year?
yeah. Why is that such a high turnover?
Because they wanted to get them out of there, and Snape wanted that position.
Oh,
But because have you seen all the movies?
yeah. I of course my favorite one was Lockhart, played by
Gilderoy Lockhart.
yeah, I loved him in that so much.
Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was amazing. He was great in that. I really liked him.
Yeah, he was really good in that one. But with Sirius, but not with Sirius, excuse me, but with Snape, that was all a part of his plan, was to be defense against, the dark arts professor, which I believe Dolores Umbridge, who I can't, and people hate her more than they do Voldemort, they gave him that position. But that was pretty much what it was. They didn't last more than a year. And for Snape, that was a cover for the other things that he had going on. I mean, we find out in the end exactly why he did,
Right.
why he did, why he did. Um, y'all should have seen the movies and read it by now. He was in love with Harry's mother.
Absolutely.
Okay. He
Yes.
was in love with Harry's
She was
mother.
kind of nice to him, like they were friends at first. And
They
then
were,
I'm sorry,
yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, they were friends, uh Snape, he was picked on a lot, and she had sympathy for him. And I believe the first one that like actually showed him true kindness. But I think what happened is that Snape got obsessed with, kind of like with Ebenezer Scrooge. He was so obsessed with success that love wasn't something that seemed to be important to him. And it seemed like he didn't learn that lesson until he found out what was going to happen to Lily and what was going to happen to, her son. And then we find out all of this stuff, he had to appear like he was legit. So I kind of make that parallel between Snape and Phineas Nigel as black, because it's all a cover. It's all a cover for just the chicanery that they have going on. And unfortunately, usually Slytherins are right in the middle of it, because daggone it, we just love stirring stuff up. But Simon Pegg is amazing as that character in the video game, and it's just amazing how many of these actors that we know wind up going over into the video game realm. So I'm excited to see more of what's going to come from Simon Pegg, and I'm gonna actually start watching The Boys again, so I can see him as his dad.
absolutely. I think that he is so talented, and it's wonderful to watch him. And it's great to see that he's continuing to work. It's, he's one of those actors I think is going to continue to work for the next 20 years or so. So it is wonderful what he's doing. And I love everything, practically everything I've seen him in. So it's great that he is actually still doing this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, folks, we hope you have enjoyed the show. Thank you guys so much for being here. Please do subscribe to of Positive Fandom. And my dear, tell the people where they can find you.
Yes, guys, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Positive Fandom, where I do all the parlay in the fandom, playing video games, talking about pop culture, reviewing movies. I'm going to review Greyhound, part of my historical film series with Darth Plato right after
Oh,
this stream. Yes. So do check that out on my channel. You can also find me on the Burn Network. And of course, you can find me here on Reina Creole's channel with our Toxic Male Appreciation show here, as well as our watch parties. Lorraine and I do a show on Monday nights called Ladies of the PGS. You
yes.
can check us out there on the Burn Network at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for that show. And of course, you can find me on Uncivilized Scoundrels on the 1/6 Scale Man Network or El Professor Soros channel on Thursday nights, late at 9 p.m. Lorraine, you and I are going to be doing, is it this Friday? No, it's
It
not.
is. I
It
think
is.
it's this Friday. Yeah, Outlander, the last episode. Well, not the last episode before the last episodes drop. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. This is the first half of the last season finale, the part one finale. And Lorena, I'm so excited to find out what happens tomorrow night. I can't wait. So
Oh
thank you
my
for
gosh.
having me here for Toxic Male Appreciation again, Lorena. This is so much fun. And Lorena, are we nearing the 1 year point, or that we've been doing the show? What
You
number?
know what? I think we are. I think we are. Oh my goodness, we shall have to have something special actually for that. So yeah, we definitely have to do something special. We'll let you guys know when we come up with that. But yes, you can find me actually right now I'm going over to WDW Pro's channel for his live show. So if you're watching this on, on the video replay on YouTube, you can go back to his channel. It should still be up. So you can go and check that out, where we keep you on the emerging edge of pop culture news. Let's see, Sunday. Oh, I'm getting my days mixed up. Saturday, yeah, Saturday, two things going on Saturday. So, Saturday morning at 10 a.m., I will be live streaming from Universal Orlando Resort. Halloween Horror Nights is starting to materialize. They've got some of the scare zones up, and I'm very excited to show you guys what they have prepared for the entrance to The Last of Us haunted house. They actually have theming out there. So we're going to go and check that on Saturday. And 8 p.m. on Saturday, we're going to be doing a watch party for Star. No. Do the right thing. That's what it is. Do the
Yes.
right thing. So that's 8 p.m. You want to join us 8 p.m. Eastern for that. And of course, on Sunday, video premiere of this show. And at 8 p.m., welcome to Florida. Crazy Florida stories, what can I tell you? That's just pretty much it, and we just have a great time, you know, learning stuff like, don't run from the cops, and remember to flush the drugs. Yes. All right, folks, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. I love doing this show with you. You guys take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye.